program to clear the air on this matter. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. On the issue of the candidates which will emerge as the flag bearer of the PDP in Anambra State. It's just about two months or so to the governorship election in Anambra State, and a lot of controversy in the PDP. Beyond that is what the party has to offer the people of Anambra State. And I have the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Anambra State, Mr. Oseloka Obaze. Many thanks for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you, Seun. It's a pleasure to be back here. Good evening, viewers.
There seems to be a lot of controversy surrounding your emergence. A lot of people pulled out. Senator Stella Odua, just about 3 of you or 4 of you actually ran in that race. When did you join the PDP?
I joined PDP in January 2016.
January 2016. Did you get a waiver to run in that race?
I certainly did.
But, I mean, the understanding we have is that the waiver you got was a provisional waiver.
No, I got a provisional clearance. And subsequently, I got a waiver from the National Caretaker Committee.
Is it the National Caretaker Committee that gives a waiver or the neck of the party?
The National Caretaker Committee is the neck.
No, neck is different from the caretaker.
Well, you have
as a neck.
You have the working committee, you have the National Working Committee, you have the neck that is the whole body. When they are not in full session, the working committee takes care of business. But the waiver was duly issued, if that's what you're asking.
You think your candidacy, your candidature was muscled in the PDP?
Muscled? I don't think so.
Because did you hear what some of your colleagues are saying? That you were brought through the back door into the PDP to be imposed on them? No,
that's a matter of a perception. And I think it would be presumptuous of me to speak for the National Caretaker Committee. I think they've spoken for themselves, and I think they've spoken boldly in terms of the process. The process was a clear, due process. The primaries were conducted transparently on national television. So I don't understand where this is all coming from. I don't want to ascribe labels to people who are sore losers, but that seems to be the case.
Why would your colleagues, you ran together in that race, why do you think they're sore losers?
Well, people run in races to win. That's the main objective. I ran to win, and I won.
Why would you describe them as sore losers?
No, I said, careful now, Seun. I said I would not like to ascribe labels. In that case, it would be a question of sore losers. That's what I said.
If you look at what you have said in previous interviews, earlier this year, you did say, around March or so, that you're not even sure on what platform you were going to run. At what point did you decide that you were going to run on the platform of the PDP?
Seun, the party was in crisis. There were 2 factions. I was the only person in Anambra State, an aspirant who was talking to 2 sides of the faction consistently. That's my remit. I'm a diplomat. I was negotiating. I was trying to build the party together. I was not discriminating.
So you were weighing your options?
No. The fact was that a lot of people in the party at that point did not know what the fate of the party would be. We were praying for the best outcome, the best possible outcome. But I was, and it's on record, it's on the net. I was approached by the Hope Party, Sam Ohebunam, to run on their platform, and I told them I was not going to do that. They did offer that regardless of the platform I ran on, and that they knew I was in PDP, that they would support me. The Young Democratic Party also approached me. So when you say you're consulting, you're rallying people to come into the umbrella. The PDP umbrella is fairly big. To accommodate everybody. And I think that was the thing. It's a misnomer and a misconception to think that because you're consulting, then people presume you're looking to go somewhere else. No. It's an open-ended system. There were a lot of dialogue. We had a lot of negotiations going on. There was also a court process going on at that point. You have to have your options and your backup options. I'm a technocrat. I do forward planning, and I do analysis of the best options in case of scenario. If scenario 1 does not happen, what happens in scenario 2? That should not be misconstrued as to mean that I wasn't in the party. But look at it this way. I think if I were to hoodwink one person, it would be very difficult to hoodwink the entire PDP party machinery, from grassroots to the national chairman. The documentations are there.
Okay. Is Mr. Peter Obi your political godfather?
What do you mean by political godfather?
I mean, do you hear what your people say in your party?
Seun, I think this is a matter of semantics. In this business, in politics, everybody has somebody who supports you, who's your mentor, who's your brother, who's your colleague. In all walks of life. Is that
Mr. Peter Obi to you?
Oh, you want to get into that? Peter Obi was my junior in school. He got into school as I was leaving. As I sit here, if Peter Obi walks in here, he addresses me as senior. He's never called me by my first name. It's a childhood friendship between families that has run for better part of 40 years. We know each other. When he was governor, until I became his SSG, I don't think I even visited his office once. I was at the United Nations. When he came to look for me to become his SSG, it took him a whole year to convince me. I had a better job. I was not looking for a day job.
Okay.
So the point being that in this business, Alex Ekwueme I've known since childhood. He was the former vice president of this country. I've known him since I was 7. When I started this business of running for this office, I went to consult him. So why don't they see him as my godfather?
Because you served under Mr. Peter Obi.
And I served under the incumbent governor too.
Okay, now, why are you not running under ABGA? Why PDP? And the government that you served?
I left ABGA because ABGA, the platform we had and the programs we had under ABGA were no longer being pursued. So I left office as secretary to the state government on the 8th of June 2015. And from that day until November 16th, 2016, I never commented on any issue relating to the Anambra government. As I sit with you, since I left office, I have not stepped into any government office in Anambra except the tax office where I go to pay my taxes. It's a matter of principle. Some people have discipline. I don't need to be a carpetbagger. I left office and I did indicate I was returning to private life. I returned to private life. I wrote 3 books. When I decided to run, I came out and I ran. And I started running. And I chose the platform on which I was supposed to run.
For a technocrat, it's actually interesting how you were able to secure the ticket of the PDP, considering those people you ran with, who are being politicians almost all their lives.
Seun, I've been in the field for a year plus. I've been to every local government, 21 local governments of Anambra State. I have a movement in Anambra State, the Oseloka H grassroots movement. They know who I am. I've been to every funeral, I've been to every wedding, I've been to every event.
That's how you got your ticket?
I have served the people of Anambra State, and they know I have served diligently. I lived in Anambra State. I still live in the same house I lived as SSG. I run a consultancy out of the state. So people know who I am. I speak up, I write. And I'm sure you've read some of the things I've written. I am focused on policy, and I'm focused on what is in the interest of the Anambra State. My running has to do with the fact that Anambra State, where it is not where we expected it to be when we handed over in 2014. I did agree to work for the Obiano government for 6 months. I stayed for 15 months. When the government went off the trajectory, I left. That's my option.
What made you fall out with the governor?
No, I did not fall out with the governor. The governor is my friend. We don't have any differences. There's no animus. If he walks in here, I'll stand up and greet him as His Excellency. I respect the office. I respect him. I have never spoken against him as a person.
But you have political disagreements.
I disagree with the way the government is run. I disagree with the policies. I disagree with that what he inherited, what was handed over to him, and the trajectory we had set for the state is not being pursued.
A lot of your colleagues who ran in the same primary, I'm still coming back to the issue of the primary, had faulted the delegate list, the Congress, the process of the Congress. And if that happened, can you tell us what exactly transpired at the ward delegate election?
I don't know. I was an aspirant. I can't comment on that. It would be presumptuous of me. The party, in its wisdom, brought in 2 serving governors, Governor Wike and Governor Fayose, to run the ad hoc list. They brought in Governor Omahi and Governor Udom to run the primaries. These are serving governors, for goodness sake. These are reputable people. I don't think you can compromise any of them. The point is that the party went through process, did what they needed to do, and the outcome was not favorable to some people. And they've challenged it. They've written petitions, due process. I've submitted myself to screening, and when they wrote petitions, it went through the due process, and the party stood its ground. I think you need to refer that question to the party hierarchy.
Do you think that the primary was free and fair?
Seun, you and I are on live television. The primary was on live television. How fair could that be?
Even when there is a faulted delegates list by other candidates, a primary that was shifted from Saturday to Monday, and some candidates who are saying that they did not have the delegates list how many days before the primary?
Neither did I.
When did you get the primary?
Neither did I.
When did you get the delegates list?
We were all together when Governor Dave Umahi presented the delegate list to the state chairman. We were all there together during a stakeholders meeting. So I enjoy no privilege whatsoever. I saw the list when they saw it. It was pasted at the party secretariat, and we all got it at the same time.
All right, let's leave the animosity and some of the bickering. I mean, sometimes I could be hard this way just to get the truth out of my guests on the program. Are you reaching out to some of your agreed?
Oh yes. It would be a failure of my professional career if I did not try to do some mediation and reconciliation to reach out. We are one big family. PDP is a big party. It has structure, it has experience, it has character. There are people who have been there for a long time. And basically, when things like this happen and people feel disenfranchised, the natural thing to do is to reach out. And that's what I've done, and that's what I spent the last 3 weeks doing. And I've even asked people who are major stakeholders to get engaged in the same process. You know, I don't like dropping names, but...
Are you afraid that this case is going to court? And it might backfire on your candidature?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if it's going to court or not.
I mean, Mr. Ifan Yuba says he's going to court to challenge it.
Well, that's his prerogative. It's a free country. It's a democracy. If he wants to go to court, that's... You know, I just said hello to him as he was walking out. I have nothing. I've maintained the best of cordiality with all the candidates. I speak to them. I'm in good terms with them. I call them. They answer the phone. I've visited some of them at their homes. I think if that's the required heavy lifting, I've done that. And I've asked them to come back to the party. We need to win the election in Anambra State. And that is what is critical at this point.
All right. We'll talk about your programs and why you're running for governor of Anambra State, and perhaps whether or not you can win. Up next on the program, we'll be asking Mr. Oseloka Obaze, as he's running and gunning for the top job in Anambra State. With all of other faces that you see, more are in the race. Anambra on the march again. Conversation with Mr. Oseloka Obaze, a man who had worked in the United Nations and now wants to be governor of Anambra State. Why? Let's talk to him now. Mr. Obaze, why do you want to be governor of Anambra State?
Well, you know, governance is about service and service delivery to your people. I come from Anambra State. That is not a matter of choice. It's a matter of where I found myself. And I'm proud to be from Anambra State because we have a long history of accomplished people. But I do, having served there as Secretary of State for a while, Secretary of State Government, know that we have quite a broad array of unmet needs for our people. Challenges, the basic dividends of democracy not being fully delivered. And the only way to offer succor to our people is to submit ourselves to service, to serve them. not because we're looking for a job, but because we can deliver on some of those things. I've been blessed. I've traveled around the world. I'm exposed. I have experience. I understand what the best practices are globally. I understand what the missed opportunities are for my people. And we can draw from lessons learned both internationally and locally. I used to live in Lagos in the 80s in Aguda. And when I look at Lagos and the way it's been transformed, I know it's possible in any part of this federation.
What would you consider as the major or the most need of the Anambra people?
Development is a mosaic. It's a holistic. It's not a one-off event. It's a process. You have to have the basic needs, the basic amenities. We take for granted potable water. Potable water is important. We used to have it in the 50s and the 60s, not boreholes. And we don't have them. And we need to have that in place. Power generation. Even though we're hooked up to the national grid, we have alternatives. We have alternative energy. We have solar power. We have independent power production that we could buy into. If we do that, we can get our industries, both the big industries, the medium and small scale industries, the micro industries, to run 24/7. What that boils down to is employment for our people. We have a large youth bulge of unemployed people. We have the unemployed who are uneducated. We have the unemployed who are educated but unemployed. And these are sources of misery to the parents. These are sources of conflict in the society, all kinds of rascality and cultism. We need to put them back to work. And that, my focus, running for governor, is the development of the human capital in Anambra State. And we have the personnel, we have the resources. It's just being able to mesh it to work to the benefit of our people. That's what
would be your policy, major policy focus? I mean, if you're considering the top job in that state. Within the first 100 days, for example, what would you say are those major primary goals that you would kind of point at if Anambra people elect you?
So when I accepted to come back here, I did that because Anambra State had chosen the MDG as its framework for development under its ANITS program. ANITS meant the Anambra Integrated Development Strategy. Now the MDG has expired. We're going to the SDG. What did the MDG do for us? It meant no community left behind. If you gave a school to a community, we have 177 communities, each community got a school. If you gave a borehole, each community got a borehole. If you built a school or a health center, each community got a school or health center. We were ranked #1 in this country as a state on MDGs, where we pulled our state from being number 26 to being the first in the nation in NECO and WAEC. We have regressed to number 7 and number 6 on both. That's backward trend.
Okay.
We need to move forward.
All right. Do you think you can win this election?
Of course I can. Confidently.
Do you think you will win this election?
I intend to win it.
How?
By campaigning. I've just done a tour, a 3-day tour, whistle stop of the 21 local governments.
Who is funding you?
I have resources. I have people who are funding. I have friends who are willing to fund me because they believe in what I'm doing.
All right. We'll still get you to talk some more, Mr. Oseloka Obaze. This is perhaps the start as we get other candidates to tell us their programs. Many thanks for coming on the program. It's always a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
I look forward to coming back here.